Welcome back to Callahan's Corner, where you ask the questions. Vince, I'm live right here on Facebook. So had a great webinar last night with Carla, the landscaping accountant. And one of the questions was based around my talk of going in and how to automate a service business, particularly a lawn care or home cleaning business, and then how to automate a lot of the accounting features and functions as far as invoicing, accounts receivable, billables, and different features in the business to go in and create better cash flow and accountability. But one of the questions is around, well, Mike, we can automate that for sure, but what is your best practice on implementing this in your business? So I'm going to open the screen up here in a second. What I'm going to show you is actually something in my company, Simple Growth, right now that one of my main administrators actually uses on a daily basis. So what we've done is create an automated process through repetitive tasks that assigns a task or basically a ticket in the software assigned to this admin. And then basically at the end of each day by 5 o'clock before he checks out, he needs to actually fill this out and send it to all of the key stakeholders in the business. So we've created accountability and them actually physically going and pulling these numbers out to make sure they have ownership of some of the key things that they're responsible for, one of being overdue accounts payable. So what I'm going to do is pop this open here and show you this, but this is the actual screen here. So what we've got is this week's dates. We've got our balances of installments that aren't past due, but we have them sitting there. So we've got about 45,000 up to date right there this week. We've got our we've got our current plus our installments that aren't due yet. So they're not past due. We know they're coming in future cash flow. So this should be very similar in a landscape company, your deposits and the remaining part of the deposit upon completion of design build. So we've got our current people that are current and future installments that aren't past due. We've got 1 to 30 days past due, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, over 90, and total overdue accounts receivable. So as you can see, Gilles in the office was working down, and he's worked down probably a decent amount, but there was some debt that went past to a certain threshold that we couldn't get through collection. So there was $386 of debt that was written off today with my approval. So the way that is done is that's sent through a written document, basically almost like an estimate. I accept and sign off as the business owner. And then that gives the approval for the accounting team to write off the bad debt. But the idea is I get this in my email as well as the key stakeholders, so we know where we're at. Part of Jill's job is to actually drive down those receivables. So he is being benchmarked on that each day where he's at. So going from the 28th to the 29th, he went out and grabbed probably around $500 to $600 worth of payments and drove that down. But what we've done is, if it isn't measured, it usually doesn't happen. So we're going to measure it to make accountability and make these things happen in our office. Yes, we can automate a lot of this, but we are going to make the person who's responsible ultimately to drive these numbers down for overdue accounts to actually report daily and then do a summarized weekly report here on Monday. So next thing we looked at is the number of phone calls, outbound, inbound calls. He's making outbound and inbound calls. I want to track and see what's going on in the business with that. And then the final thing is our project management board around automations in play and scheduling new orders and video, reposting the videos for content and SEO here as well. So we just started this area here. Hasn't been totally dialed out. The other part has been in play for a while, but I wanted to give you just kind of a sneak peek of what's going on in my business and how we're doing this for success. So the administrative role is reporting out daily on these three or four main things that they're responsible for, and summarizing on Monday on a Monday morning standing financial meeting. So comments and questions drop below, but I highly recommend driving some kind of Google Sheet or Excel sheet where that administrator or whatever that position is reporting out on the main things that's going on in the business. And that is allowing you, the business owner, to see these key variables and hold accountability. So if what is tracked happens, if it's not tracked, it doesn't happen. And as Carla, the landscaping accountant, talked about yesterday with overdue receipts, landscaping companies are traditionally a little bit lagging in tracking those receivables. And it makes sense because we have a very small season. We're going out trying to make all the money and get the bids out. But after we get the work done, we need to have somebody, a virtual assistant or somebody in our office, go back and make sure our collections are going in. And that webinar, I talked about how to create automated billing, daily, weekly, monthly, or a special day of the month. I also talked about getting a credit card on file. So those one-time jobs have a deposit and they're billed directly after the job's done. And any reoccurring work is billed literally the following week on a Tuesday. So what happens there is that increases your cash flow and also allows the ability for your risk of people not paying you to shrink down. So instead of being out 4 to 5 mowings in a month, you're only out 1 at worst case scenario if the credit card declines. So comments, questions drop below. But the webinar last night with Carla was great. And I wanted to kind of give some examples of how we're looking at it, and accounts receivable, office reports on this daily, phone calls, project management board, and then within a week or so here, he's also going to be doing our reposting of videos with content transcripts for all the social media outlets, the website with video for SEO. So comments, questions drop below. Callahan's Corner. You ask the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook.